I'd like to talk to you about my experience immigrating into New Zealand. After 25 years of speaking globally about this concept and about the birthing better skills, I had come to a point in my life where I wasn't certain I wanted to continue to do any of this work. Technology hadn't caught up. We weren't able to download My Head until 2000, where we put out first Pink Kit, which was half the skills. I had been in New Zealand in 1988 and 1989 and had traveled throughout New Zealand teaching the concept and the birthing better skills. And I even spoke at one hospital in New Zealand. People and midwives were very receptive in 1988 and 1989 about both the concept and the skills. When I immigrated into New Zealand in 1995, immigration was very excited about them. The letter that I received from immigration was very clear. I had not known there was a midwifery model put into place, and I was informed of that. And immigration then informed me that the reason my application for residency was accepted was that I was bringing skills to ordinary New Zealand families, and they liked the concept. The concept to them evoked the fact that New Zealanders are cluey. I didn't know what the word cluey meant, but it seemed encouraging. And so they welcomed me, both the concept and the skills. And for about 6 months, I thought, I've come home. This is where my home will be. What I've carried for 25 years will be accepted here. That was my experience in 1988 and 1989. That's what immigration is saying. This is going to be a place where this concept can develop within a partnership model. At some point, I'd hoped to be able to get the birthing better skills into a resource. In 1996, I presented at the national conference, and I was met with the same response as I had been met for 25 years elsewhere. Joan Donnelly approached me after the conference, and in her true out front style, she just said to me, "We will never support anything that you do." She then explained to me that midwives were exhausted and focused on politics. I knew that. That had been midwives' experience since the 70s. It saddened me to know that so early in this amazing shift to a midwifery model of healthcare, that they were already experiencing that. But as I said, it was inevitable. You can't build a partnership when one partner does too much and gives too much and expects so little. She explained why New Zealand midwives would never support the concept or the skills in the exact same way that I'd been told for 25 years. Birth is instinctive and natural. The concept that women need to be skilled or should be skilled, or fathers should be birth coaches, was just not acceptable to her and to the midwifery model that had been put in place. Cows and cats aren't taught. Women didn't need to. It was instinctive. She felt the birthing better skills were unnecessary, that women's bodies are built to have babies, and that every position a woman gets into is going to be the right position, and that women's vaginas naturally stretch, and that you just don't want to rush second stage. And after Joan talked to me, I knew that I hadn't found a home in New Zealand, that the work that I did, the work that I brought in, wasn't going to be supported. So I set up a not-for-profit, Common Knowledge Trust, in 1996. We put the concept in that it just should be normal and beneficial for families to self-learn skills when they're pregnant and use those skills to work through the activity of birthing their baby. And we put birthing better skills into common knowledge as well, because we all blink, we all cough, and we can all tighten up our rectum. And birthing better skills are based on that commonality. It's universal. And then I worked to get everything out of my head. We got the Pink Kit launched as a VHS cassette and a book in 2000. Then I taught for 3 years in Nelson and downloaded the rest of the skills. And we put those skills into the next edition. At the same time, I met Andrea Vincent, and I made every effort to encourage the Nelson midwives to do an informal project using this concept. And at that point, using birthing better skills, because as I mentioned, besides Lamaze and Bradley and Grantley Dick Reed that had gone out of fashion, with the exception of birthing better, no skills-based methods had evolved for 20 years. And hypnobirthing and hypnobabies were just beginning to be known in 1996. I talked at several NOSCOM conferences, and so did Andrea about her statistics. I left New Zealand in 2008 and returned in 2013, and Andrea and I taught the Strengthening the Partnership workshops. And then in 2016 or 17, our trust put out the flyer. I guess what I would like you to know is that I've had many midwives say to me that they feel that I don't support the partnership because of what I'm saying. My hope is that listening to these chapters, you understand that from very early on, families, and asking me to be the voice of families, always supported a midwifery partnership. The thousands of families that I've worked with over a 50-year period would love continuity of care. They don't care if it's a midwife, a GP, or an obstetrician. They'd like the same person to see them in pregnancy and be at their birth. Most of them actually don't care whether that same provider sees them after their birth, except for a few follow-ups. Tens of thousands of women have told me worldwide that they would really like a maid, someone to cook and clean and shop and take care of the kids. New Zealand families love the midwives. I just want New Zealand families to be more supportive of you. And they won't be unless you tell them to be. When Andrea first got the pink kit and passed it out to all of her clients, 20 to 30% said yes within the first 2 years. She wanted the others because those were the long labors, the dysfunctional births. And I said to her, you need to be clear with them that you want them to self-learn. And she said to me, I can't. I'm part of a profession that supports women's choices. My response to her was, they don't know how tired you are. Consumers expect professionals to lead the way. It doesn't mean oppress them. We go to professionals to get guidance and help. New Zealand fathers and mothers don't know how tired you are. Andrea needed to change how she was speaking to her clients. And over the next 5 years, she did. She became clearer and more concise about why she wanted her clients to self-learn skills. And by the time she got clearer and more concise, people had more choices about what skills-based methods they used. I've now left New Zealand, but we now have the internet, and I can always come back to work with them. Immigration wasn't right. What they saw as beneficial to New Zealand society, what Joan Donnelly, NOSCOM, and New Zealand midwives saw was something different. It was the same thing that the natural birth movement and the home birth midwives had explained to me since the early 70s. Cows and cats aren't taught to birth. Women don't need to be taught to birth. Fathers shouldn't tell women what to do and coach. They should just support them. Our bodies are built to birth. We just need to get out of the medical system, be left alone. And I never give up. I believe in this partnership, and I believe that it's easy, and I believe that growing a skilled birthing population led by New Zealand midwives will have a positive, profound, and lasting beneficial change